welcome to Methics. So today we have something known as the truth. So what's the truth? We need to look into it. What's the truth? So we will look into that, but basically a very typical thing that is taught in lower grades that if x square is equal to 4, so taking a square root, taking a square root, we take a square root, which basically means taking this. So taking a square root on both sides, we have this here. So cancelling this 2 with this, we have x is equal to, this is how much? 2. But one very important question arises that what's the value of 4? I mean under root of 4. Is it 2 or minus 2? You might be thinking that why I'm taking minus 2. Because if you factorize it, right? So you are getting 2 pairs, so you can have any one pair outside it, right? And so what's the truth? Like x square is equal to 4, so x will be 2 only. Or what's the under root of 4? Is it 2 or minus 2? You might be thinking that 2 is the obvious answer, but I will also clarify one more thing, that why minus 2 is not a function. I mean why minus 2 will not be the answer. So moving on, let me have some space over here. So now we have a space. So I would like to first tell you about like under root function. Say here something is x. We know that we have something known as domain of a function. Like this is a function, right? It can be expressed as f of x, where f of x means function in x. And what is the function? Under root of x. So we have something known as domain and range. I will simplify these terms because you will learn in higher grade also about domain and its range, because it's very important to know about this. So what's the domain and what's the range? Domain is something that you can take, like input, right? Like as a human being, if we are human, so we cannot eat grass, right? So grass cannot be our input. So grass cannot be our input. Just like that, domain is something that a function can take. If you write something known as, like say this expression, here we cannot put x equal to 0, right? We cannot put x equal to 0. If you put x equal to 0, so it will be 1 by 0, and basically this is not a valid thing, right? Because division by 0 is not possible. This is not defined in mathematics. So domain is what? Domain is something that can be taken inside. So here, what's the domain? Domain will be what? X. X will be what? X can be any real number apart from 0. Here we cannot take 0, right? So what's the range? Now, if you have understood what's the domain, so what's the range? Like if you have taken some input, so now we have to, if you have some input which is called domain, so what will be the output? Like if you have this number, say this to be this thing, x square. So whatever value you will put, its value will always going to be from 0 to infinite. You might be thinking that, but x square, like we are getting 1, 4, 9, 16. We have not included 2 or 3. but this implies all the values ranging from 0 to infinite. Means each and every value which include this thing also 1.3, 2, etc. anything. So we have to include all things. But how you know, I mean, how can you say that it will include everything? Like, for example, say if you have root 3 as x. If you have root 3 as x, so so it will be how much? 3, right? So you are getting 3, so 3 can be included. I'm not saying here that x is only the positive integer or negative integer. It can be any fractional number also. Basically, x is any real value. So for any real value, we will always get from 0 to infinite. So its range will be what? Range will be any value from 0 to infinite. Basically, we can also say that positive real number and 0. 0 we can include more because 0 square is how much? It's 0. So we can include 0. So what we will be saying, like say if we have something called as over here, say we have this thing. We have this function as f of x as x square. So what will be its domain? What value can you take in it? You can take any value. So domain will be what? Any real number value. Any real number. And what will be its range? Range will be what? Range will be all positive and basically all non-negative. Basically all non-negative reals. Because non-negative means positive plus 0. Similarly, non-positive means what? Negative and 0. So range will be what? All negative real number. So similarly, we have this function. Similarly, we have this function under root of x, f of x. So for this function, domain is positive, basically non-negative real number. And range is what? Range is, range is also non-negative real. Which means you cannot take minus 2, right? Because it is not in domain. So this function will not accept minus 2. So this cannot be taken. Similarly, if you write under root of 4, so it cannot give minus 2 as value because what its range? Range is non-negative real. You will be always getting the value either 0 or positive real number. I'm again saying positive real number. Do not get confused we cannot get like I'm not saying basically the positive integers only. You can get any positive real value, right? So this is our thing. Under root of 4 is equal to how much? It's 2 because the acceptable answer is what comes in the range, and in range minus 2 cannot be included. The output, basically this is also known as, domain is also known as input and the range is also known as output. So you cannot take negative number in the under root function, and also you will not get any negative number as the output. So now coming to our thing that we have considered. So you might be clear that under root is 4, not minus 2. You need to have very much clarity over it because if you write x square equal to 4, one way is to do that taking a square root, right? If you take a square root on both side, so you will have x square is equal to 1 by 2, and here it will be 4 1 by 2. So basically what? It's x square equal to 4 and this is under root. So basically it's 2. So from here you are getting x equal to 2. But when you, as I have already explained, that this is the f of x. If this is f of x, let me show you. If this is f of x, so we know that domain is any real number. So we can take negative number also, but the range will be always positive or 0, right? So let me write over here. So if this is our function, so input can be negative number also. Input can be negative number also, right? So if you take minus 2 square equal to, so it will be 4. So you might be thinking that x square is equal to 4. This thing is this thing is possible for x equal to 2 and or x equal to minus 2. You are getting x square is equal to 4 for both thing, right? You can see over here. So why we are saying that x equal to 2 only here on the left hand side that we have done. Over here also we are doing x square equal to 4 and we are saying that x is equal to 2 is the only possibility, right? Because we cannot get the negative number over here. One more thing that I will show, that if you take x square is equal to 4, taking this 4 onto the left hand side, basically we are transposing it. So if you transpose it, you are getting x square is equal to minus 4. So basically it's a square minus b square, which is how much? It's a minus b into a plus b, right? So what can we write it? X minus 2 into x plus 2, and this is equal to 0. From here we can say that either this will be 0 or this will be 0. So if how can this will be 0? X minus 2 is 0, right? X minus 2 is 0. So it will be x equal to 2. And if this term is 0, x plus 2 equal to 0. So x will be how much? X equal to minus 2. So now you might be confused because I have created a confusion in that x square is equal to 4. Its value will be what? So this was our topic, that what's the truth? X square is equal to 4. So x will be plus 2 and minus 2, or x will be plus 2 only. What you will say? You might be thinking that we are getting x equal to plus 2 and minus 2 by two method, right? Like this factorization method, and also I have done over here that I have showed that minus 2 square is equal to 4. Input can be negative number because this is our x square function. So this is true. So what's the flaw in this? Like what's the wrong thing in x square equal to 4? And if we are taking a square root, we are not doing any crime because we are doing this on the both side. So doing on both side is valid in mathematics. So what's the truth? Like why we are getting over here, we are not getting minus 2. Why we are not getting minus 2? Why we are not getting minus 2? What's the flow? So we will understand it. Just hang on. So when you write x square is equal to 4 and you take, what you take? A square root on both sides. square root on both sides. So if you do this, this is valid, right? This is valid. But when you do this thing now, when you take a square root on both sides, so you take plus minus under root of 4. This is very important step that I have done over here. Taking the square root on both sides, you should always have you should always have some sense of thing that must be striking in your mind, that when you are taking a square root on both sides, you must place this plus minus, because because this is because by this we can justify it, right? Because what, under root of 4 is what, plus 2, and then and from over here we getting x equal to plus minus 2, right? We can now explain there is no flaw in this mathematics is always correct. You might be applying something wrong that is causing you the problem and which is creating a chaos in your mind. So we be very much clear that the mathematics is not wrong, and the truth is that x square is equal to 4 has two value, x equal to 2, x equal to 2 or x equal to minus 2. But under root of 4 is what? Under root of 4 is plus 2 only. So I hope I have cleared all the confusion. First, I have created the confusion in your mind that x square is equal to 4 is only x is equal to 2 or x equal to minus 2. So first, I have created the confusion in you, and then now I have cleared. If you have any confusion still left, you can just drop your message in the comment section. I will reply to it, because see, in mathematics, you need to have clarity on the concept. Mathematics have very limited concept, and you have to have clarity on the topic that you are studying. These things are never taught in schools, like very few school teach about this. I have also not been taught these topics in my school, but I have got to know when when I am preparing for my IIT JEE. So I have created the confusion, I have cleared it. I hope you have understood the purpose of the question, purpose of the video, and what's the truth thing, right? So have a good day. Take care. Thank you.